Welcome to this month's Friends You Keep. As they say, we're the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. And at Erin Wellness, we believe that sustainable health and wellness is an accumulation of 5 pillars: the thoughts you think, the friends you keep, daily movement, nutrition, and lastly, supplementation. So each month we feature guests doing exceptional things that will hopefully inspire you to step into all you are destined to be. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this month's Friends You Keep. I am so excited today to have Eliza Trendiak with me. Hello, Eliza.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. So, Eliza Trendiak has been an entrepreneur since before she even knew the meaning of the word. I resonate with that. Whether operating a successful lemonade stand or charging the kids in the neighborhood for gymnastic lessons despite not being a gymnast, Eliza has always loved turning the idea into a tangible business. She spent the first 15 years of her career in the hairstyling industry, first as a stylist and then as a salon owner, building and selling her brand of 4 salon locations in Vancouver, Canada. That's amazing. Her latest venture is Lavoh. We're going to talk about this, a line of sustainable and reusable makeup cloth remover, which she has launched in May 2024. Seeing other women succeed in business is a huge passion of Eliza and why she loves to connect and encourage other business owners anytime she can. You'll regularly find her making ridiculous videos on social media, which I suggest you very much follow her because they are fantastic, using to highlight the attempt of balancing motherhood and business ownership. Thank you so much for taking time. I know you are super, super busy, so I'm really excited to have this conversation with you today.
I'm so excited to be here.
So, Lavoh, and we're going to talk about these. These are amazing. So I hope everybody goes and buys one after these. Tell me about the journey and what is taking you to make these incredible makeup remover cloths.
So it all started, I would say, last summer. I knew that I was going to be selling the salons and wanting to get out of that industry. And I was thinking, okay, so I know what I'm selling. I'm in this process of selling. What am I going to do next? And as I'm sure you know, as an entrepreneur, you're kind of psychologically unemployable. I'm like, I know that I'm not going to go get a job. That's just not who I am. It's not in my DNA. And I was really intrigued by the idea of doing a product-based business because I had been in service-based business for so long and making it through COVID in a service-based business. And I was really like, I want to try my hand at a product-based business, something that I can have full control over and do, while having 2 toddlers at home. So I was really like, okay, well, what's something that I'm passionate about already? What's a product that I love? And the first thing that popped into my mind was makeup remover cloths. So I've used makeup remover cloths myself for about 5 years. I told every makeup wearer in my life about them. I would, literally every woman in my family used them. But it wasn't my own brand. And a lot of them aesthetically weren't something that I would want to give as a gift. So when I was thinking about something that I wanted to do, I was like, well, why don't I just take this product that I already love, but really make it something that's my own, make it something that's beautiful, and also just educate people around it, because 9 out of 10 people that I talked to had never heard of this product before. So I definitely had this moment of like, okay, well, you're going to come in and try and start a brand with a product that's already been made. How are you going to differentiate yourself, or what are people going to think? Like, are you, trying to copy something that's already been done? But then I'm like, wait a second. There's a new cosmetic company every single day. Like, every celebrity is starting a new cosmetic company. Yeah. Nobody's talking about how to take your makeup off, because it's kind of like the unsexy part of the cosmetic industry is taking the makeup off. So once I kind of got over that like little bit of insecurity about like, what are people going to think if I'm, this product's already out there. So I was like, whatever, this is what I want to do. It's something that I love. And so then I began the process of one channel, kind of like designing my brand, designing the aesthetic that I wanted, who I thought my target audience would be. And then while I was working on the brand aspect of it, I started doing my sampling process. So took about 8 months back and forth with manufacturers to find a manufacturer that had the quality that I wanted. I could get it done in colors that I wanted, had consistency, the samples kept coming back and they were the consistent quality and all that kind of thing. So from like kind of idea to launching was about 10 months.
That's
And
bad. That's not
yeah.
bad.
And I think it was last week or the week before, I looked at my phone because I had originally written my business plan on my phone one night on my balcony. And I looked at the date and I was like, oh my gosh, it's been a year today that I
Wow.
wrote this business plan on my phone, and I just keep it on my phone as a reminder. So
Oh,
that's kind of how it started.
that's so cool. But so, I mean, to go from owning your own business as a salon owner, I mean, that's for one, that's you grew 4 salons and then sold them. I mean, like that is already a feat, especially during COVID. I mean, things were a little bit different out here opposed to out east, right? And I always kind of have to remember that when we think about it. I mean, we had lockdown, but we still were able to somewhat, function to a certain degree.
Mhm.
But to jump from service-based to consumer packaged good, like what kind of gave you, was it the fact you just felt you're like, this is something I need to do and I listened to that whisper? Is that something that you kind of go by, or was it just you're just like, why not, let's try it and see what happens, and if it doesn't stick, that's okay? Or how did you kind of take the jump?
Well, I think I have to give credit where credit is due. And my sister, Sarah, is the owner of Revel Cares, a period proof underwear company.
Ah, okay, that's your
Uh,
sister, that's your sister.
yeah, my
Oh, okay.
stepsister,
That's
but
cool. That's so
um,
sister. That's
yeah,
very
my sister.
cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So she is one of my best friends in the entire world. And her and her husband and me and my husband, like we are
That
each
is
other's circle. We're each other's people. And we always say like the best gift our parents gave each other was like finding each other and marrying each other when we were in our 20s, because I feel like it's rare, when you're an adult and you have a blended family as adults. I don't know. I just think we lucked out. Um,
like best friends. I mean, it's one thing,
yeah,
y'all get along usually because you're older at that
yeah,
point, but to be like
totally.
really close, that's so incredible.
Yeah. So Sarah and her husband Maya have like they walked through my entire salon journey with me. And likewise, I walked through their kind of entire journey of Revel Cares, back from when Sarah was selling period underwear at markets to now being in like over 1,500 stores across North America.
Very
So I think just like watching their progression, I've just learned so much just from, I mean, we have like weekly dinners and we are always talking about business. Like our toddlers are all running around going crazy and we're just like talking about business. So I knew that I had them as a support and I had them as a sounding board.
yeah.
So straight up, they have shaved off literally years of mistakes and learning curves, because I could just go to them with at every point in the process being like, okay, I'm running up against this issue. And they'd be like, oh, think about this, think about this. Even when my original idea for packaging, I wanted to do like these beautiful like kind of cylinder like tubes. I wanted them, because I was picturing how they would look on the shelf. And Sarah was like, Eliza, that you're going to be spending so much money in shipping. You're going to be think about if you want to get in retail. She's like, think about how this will be displayed in a store. Most likely it's going to be hung, or think about all these kind of things. So at each step, she would just like literally give it to me straight. And so I feel like that's why I was able to go from start to finish in 10 months, because literally she shaved off, like I said, years of costly mistakes.
I mean, having sounding boards, I'm very blessed. One of my best friends is my sounding board. I mean, we had a walking meeting this past Saturday. I'm big into walking meetings lately. I'm like, let's
Yeah,
walk,
yeah, I love it.
right? Get my
Yeah,
steps. And we had a great meeting just planning out 2025 and marketing initiatives and what I plan on doing. But she has been uh, uh, fundamental in my business growth, right? Like just fundamental. Being able to have somebody you can ask questions for and being like, does this make sense? And should I do that? Especially somebody who knows the industry you're going into. That's the other thing, because you
yeah,
can ask other people questions, but if they're not in your industry, that makes a difference. And even though you guys are two different products, you're still going to be in the same stores for the most part, right?
for
It's
sure.
not like you're
Yeah,
selling to hardware stores, so
exactly.
right,
Yeah.
that really
And even
helps too.
having that person that is going to be brutally honest with you, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, when I was working on my branding, I had hired a graphic designer, and I just couldn't seem to, it just wasn't hitting. And everyone that I was like showing the designs to, everyone was like, yeah, it looks great. And Sarah was like, can I be honest with you?
Like, please do.
Yeah. She's like, this isn't it. She's like, go back to the drawing board. You know what you want it to look like. You go do it yourself. Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, but I'm already like this much money in. She's like, who cares?
Yeah,
Go back and you can do it. And within a weekend, I'd come up with my current branding and my packaging.
that's so
You
cool.
know? And I feel like if I hadn't have had her to just be like brutally honest and just be like, this isn't you, I probably would have got there eventually, but I think I would have spent a lot more time and money kind of spinning my wheels trying to get to what I kind of knew in my like heart and soul what I wanted visually, what I wanted it to look like. So
No, I totally think it's great. So I was looking at stats on makeup wipes because I always try to do a little bit of investigation when I do these talks.
yeah,
So 11 billion wet wipes. And I mean, I am guilty. I didn't have my Lova before I went to Italy. And so
yeah,
I was buying Mac. I bought the Max. And I know it's not the best for your skin, but I just thought I didn't want another soap container to drag with me. Now this
yeah.
is what I'll take with me every day. So 11 billion wet wipes every year are disposed, and it takes up to 100 years to biodegrade. So
Mhm.
that alone, I mean, not only is this great for your skin because it gets all your makeup off, right? And then you're not spending money on really expensive soaps and whatnot, but the
Yeah.
fact even environmentally. And so was it that aspect too, just looking at the environment too? I mean, like sorry, in a second, I have a little more of a stats, right? The chemicals that go into these makeup wipes for preserving moisture, added fragrances, and stain antibacterial are harmful to the chemical and pH makeup of your skin barrier. So, I
Mhm.
mean, I didn't know that either, right? So
Mhm.
the things you're using, you're thinking like, oh, this is great, my skin's clean. It's actually negative. It's not working to a positive to help support your skin health.
Absolutely. So that was a huge piece for me. And I think I saw this in the salon industry as well. Even just in the 15 years that I was in the salon industry, such a huge shift towards thinking about one, what we're putting on our skin and scalp, and then also what it's doing to the environment. Um, Even just in the 15-year span that I did hair, like the products have gotten so much cleaner, if you will. I mean, I used to mix a bowl of color and it would clear your sinuses out. um, and so I just definitely saw that from stylist perspective, but also from clients' perspective. People were wanting to consider what impact they're having on getting their beauty services done.
Yeah.
So that's why in the end we had moved to a program called Green Circle, where we recycled up to 95% of our salon waste. Even the hair we swept up on the floor was used to make hair booms to like soak up oil spills. So
Really?
really, really cool program. So I knew, even though this is makeup instead of hair, I knew from my like hands-on experience that people were really considering what their own personal impact on the environment was. So that was a huge piece for me. Just looking at, how much disposable, and I've seen those stats before. I read the same article that you did,
Yeah.
that one from the UK. It's been a huge resource for me.
Yeah.
Just seeing how many wipes go into the landfill, and even ones that are marketed as biodegradable, if they're not disposed of in an environment that's going to promote them being biodegradable, if they're disposed of in a garbage bag with a bunch of other plastic, like that's not really doing anything good. So I love that this product was not only kind of answering that need for a more sustainable solution, but it was also just really easy to use.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I find it can be really overwhelming in the cosmetic industry. There's a bajillion products to choose from, not only what you put on your face, but how to take it off, and 10-step skincare routines. And if you're into that, more power to you. I'm a very low maintenance person, especially now that I have a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old. So my self-care time is just like next to nothing. I was like, I need something that is fast, that actually works,
Mhm.
and that I feel good about, that I'm not just like burning through all these disposable products. And then so on top of that, there's also kind of the economic piece. I always try and keep my eyes on, what current makeup remover solutions are going for. and
Mhm.
it is wild.
Expensive. It's
It is
expensive,
wild.
right?
Yeah, like I actually made a spreadsheet and I mapped out all like the top 10 makeup remover wipe brands from like five different retailers, and the average pack of 25 wipes is about $17. So you're timesing that by, let's say, once or twice a month, depending on how much you're using it. We're looking at over the lifespan of one face cloth, you're looking at around $2,100 in makeup remover. And I'm just like, I can think of a lot of better things that I'd rather spend $2,100 on.
Too. I mean, so I got mine right when I came back from Italy. First off, I thought it was going to be microfiber, the microfiber stuff, and I always find that irritates me because it sticks to my fingers, and I was like, it just kind of
Yeah.
creeps me out. There's something about it. It's not. It's like fuzzy and soft. I was like, when I opened it, I'm like, oh, good, it's not like the microfiber stuff. So
Yeah.
it's beautiful, fuzzy, and soft. And from what you told me before we started, it's supposed to have it's okay if you have makeup on it because I have cleaned this. So
Yeah.
I only use this. So that was my other question. I thought I was going to ask you during this, do I have to put soap on first and then use this after? You don't. It's just this. So you don't need soap or anything. This takes everything off,
Yeah. With
right?
just water. Yeah. Just
And
water.
it's got a little hangy hook, so you can
Yeah.
put it aside. I'm going to get a couple more because I'm going to rotate them.
Yeah.
I cannot say enough about them. And it's just so simple to use. And you were saying before, so you kind of start doing like one side and then you'll do like the other side. So then you can get like at least 4 days out of it, right? And then you can wash it.
Totally.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah. Just be strategic with it.
Yeah.
When I first started, I would like go straight in the middle of the cloth and then I'd be like, oh dang, now I only have these little corners to use. Yeah.
Same. I'm like, now I've got to work my way around. So I definitely, and it dries really easy. So I used this last night and I just hung it. It's dry by the morning.
Yeah.
Right. So it's absolutely fantastic. I cannot say enough about this. I think this is such a cool idea. Love it. I'm going to get Michaela one because she needs one too, because she's been using the wipes. And I was like, I came in, I'm like, look at this. It's amazing.
That's
So what
awesome.
color do you have? A pink? What colors do you have?
I've got a blush. I've got kind of a cream colored one that's like a really pretty kind of dusty lavender color, a berry color. It's like kind of a jewel magenta color, and then a navy.
Okay.
So I did like the kind of the whole spectrum because some people they want light colors so they can see exactly where the makeup is and they know where to use it. But then there's other people that are like, I want this hanging in my bathroom, but I don't want to see like a makeup cloth with
Yeah.
makeup on it. So that's why I have kind of the whole range of colors.
And I didn't ask lava. What does the name come from?
So the word Lavoh
Lavo.
is um Latin for to wash or to cleanse.
Okay.
And so, but that's spelled Lavo. And then when I was doing my research, apparently there's like a really well-known restaurant in I think Vegas or something like that. That's spelled the same. So I was like, well, I'll add on the H because it still doesn't change the
Yeah.
pronunciation. It's easy to spell, and there was nothing else on the internet that was called that when I did it. So that's kind of what I came up with. I
Okay.
originally wanted to call it I Like Her because it was kind of this idea of like looking in the mirror, taking your makeup off, and just really accepting like yourself with or without makeup on. But I didn't want to gender myself because I really wanted like to be inclusive. And what's been really cool is specifically the Vancouver drag community has like totally embraced me.
Amazing.
They love they love these claws because it will take off a full face of drag makeup with just warm water.
That's amazing. That
So
is
I'm
so
so
cool.
glad I changed the name. I listened to my gut in the beginning and I had a couple of people like, oh, do you want to put a gender in there? And I was like, no, I don't. And so that's why I went back to the drawing board, renamed it. And I'm so glad I did because, yeah, the drag community has been so incredibly supportive. They've made me so many UGC videos of them like taking their makeup off. And it's been, yeah, that's been really cool to see.
So you just got back from the Calgary Stampede and you were
Yeah.
there for 10 days, which I was watching your stories. And I'm from Calgary as well. So I was a young Canadian of the Calgary Stampede. So I used to sing at the grandstand.
Oh,
But
no
we're the young Canadian.
way.
So but when I've also been, of course, to the expo, I guess portion of it you can call, right? Where everybody's like, just selling, you got the guys, the headset selling stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
10 days. And you were saying 12-hour days. Now, something else too, wasn't there a story where they wouldn't let you in the beginning? Like what kind of happened with that?
Yeah. So I applied for Stampede before I officially launched the brand. So the applications were back in the spring, but I didn't officially launch Lavoh till mid-May. So I applied, and you have to send in photos of your booth. And
Uh,
I and they're like, we will not accept artist renderings. And I got Rob to make me an artist rendering anyways. And I said to him, like, I'm like, look, I'm a new brand. I haven't done a trade show yet, so I don't have photos, like blah, blah, blah. And so they didn't accept me because I didn't have photos. Right. And so I just kept following up and following up and following up and following up and bugging them and bugging them. And eventually they let me in. And I made sure to get so many photos so that I will never have that experience again. But yeah, they said no at first, and I was really discouraged because I was excited. I was like, this is such a perfect opportunity. And their reasoning was we have a certain like kind of aesthetic to uphold. We want to make sure that the booths are a certain quality and stuff. And so I sent them photos of my hair salons, and I said, look, I've like built and run brick and mortar businesses. I know how to make a pretty booth.
yeah, exactly.
So I was like, this is what I've done. Like, trust me, kind of thing. And they let me in. And so I'm excited. I want to do it again next year. I had a really great time.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing the booth is, I mean, and it changes year over year because every year we do CHFA and all these big events. And so it's the
Yeah.
same thing too, right? I have this now vision of a new booth I want to create. I'll probably do it for next CHFA, and just
Yeah.
this bigger, grandiose idea and making it so much better. But yeah. And when you
Yeah.
start like looking at some of the beautiful booths that are out there, it really makes you start going like, oh,
Yeah.
huge,
Totally.
ginormous booth. So
Yeah.
what is your big, hairy, audacious goal for Lavo?
My big, hairy, audacious goal is, well, number one, I really want to go on Dragon's Den.
It's good.
Um,
I was on there.
you were amazing.
I did it in 2022. I
I'm
walked
so
away with three
cool.
offers. So
I
if you need a pitch coach, I've got the best pitch coach available.
Okay,
Her
amazing,
Melissa, she's awesome.
amazing. It's just a show that like my husband and I, we absolutely love. My 3-year-old watches it with us too. Sometimes she even requests, she's like, "Can we watch Dragon's Den?" I just love it. I love it. I think it's so cool that 3 out of 5 of the dragons are female. I think it's just such a cool representation of women in business. So that's and I mean, normally you do something like that more at the beginning of your business. So that's not like the end BHAG,
Yeah,
but in the beginning, in the next couple of years, I would really love to do that just because I'm such a huge fan of the show.
I can see it.
And then I would love to be in retailers across North America. Um, Sephora would be, I think, one of those ones that I think would be really, really life-changing to be a part of. So to see my product on that shelf, I think would be one of those really big goals.
It's very cool. I can see that happening for you. Just saying. And what do you think is the biggest challenge with Lavo, sorry.
That's okay. I think the biggest challenge right now is time.
Mhm. You got
Um,
2 little kids. That's like,
yeah, I've got it. My son is turning 2 in October. My daughter is 3, and my husband Rob is also self-employed as a photographer. So that's the biggest challenge right now is just it's that constant juggle of like I want to be working, but I want to be with my kids and cherish this time. Where they're young and they're still obsessed with me. Um,
it changes. Trust me, I have a 16-year-old.
I know that's what everyone says. So that's that's honestly like it sounds kind of stereotypical, but that's my hugest challenge right now is us just as a family trying to figure that dynamic. And because there's times where Rob's like, well, I need to get this done. And I'm like, well, I need to get this done. And, you know, um, and it's not conventional. We don't have a conventional schedule. And he travels a lot for his photography too. So sometimes I'm solo parenting for a week at a time. And, I'm with them all day and then I'm doing work I'm doing stuff from like 11 p.m. till 2 in the morning because that's the only time that works. But I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it. I love my life. I love that I have complete freedom, that I don't have to show up somewhere at a specific time every day. So it's like the greatest gift, but it's also sometimes the biggest stressor is just there's balance is just I feel like not a part of the vocabulary. It's just the pendulum's kind of always swinging.
I totally agree with that. Well, then I'll ask you the next question. I mean, do you think the word balance exists for you? Does that word actually, or do you think it's just kind of like every day you're just in it and you're just like flowing with it more so?
I feel like balance is a word that doesn't exist in the life of an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I
Because
agree.
if you're balanced, I just feel like if you're balanced, you're not getting anything done.
Yeah,
You're not like moving the needle forward. Like I don't think that there's ever been a time in my like adult entrepreneurial career where I've ever coasted.
yeah,
You're always pushing the boundary somewhere. I
yeah.
kind of I kind of use the analogy of like an ice cream cone on a really hot day and it's melting and you're like trying to lick this one side and you're like, sweet, I've got this side under control. And then it's just oozing down the other side. So you're like,
Total
tap,
entrepreneurship.
you're like, oh my gosh, inventory. Oh, like this. You know what I mean? Like it's just there's no such thing as balance. It's like you're just always like, what needs my energy right now? What's this? So yeah, I think sometimes I like romanticize balance and I look at the lives of people who like have no entrepreneurial desire whatsoever, and I sometimes look at that and I'm like, oh, that looks really nice. But that's just not, it's not how I'm wired. It's not in my DNA. I would be absolutely miserable, but I definitely have those moments of really like romanticizing a life of balance, but it's just I don't think it happens for entrepreneurs.
I kind of agree. I mean, if I even think, weekends, I mean, I work a little bit on Saturday, I work a little bit on Sunday. I mean, summertime for me is a quieter time, right? That's usually July, August, it's quieter. And same with December. I've had to get a lot better because I like to be busy. I function very well on like chaotic busy, like super busy, like my
Yeah.
list in times like 4 lists and I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
right? And so when all of a sudden it kind of down, like now it's kind of a little quieter, still lots to do, but it's a little quieter. I've had to learn to step into the quiet moments and be able to be like, it's okay to go to a walk at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Because you know what? September to November, you're not going to be able to do that because you are gangbusters, going like crazy. So in that,
absolutely.
being able to kind of enjoy the ebb and flow a bit. And I think that's part of maybe trying to find balance is being okay for a little bit of the still moments if you have them, and then
Mhm.
ramping back up again, right? So yeah,
Totally.
same way.
Yeah.
So you also have on top of doing a really cool, amazing business, which I think is going to be everywhere shortly. Because I think this is awesome. Everybody should buy one. Second time I've
Thank
got
you.
you have an incredible social media following and you're hilarious and I love it. So how did this happen? How did it kind of grow? And then what tips can you give women, especially women in business? Because a lot of women in business, I know myself included, um, I really have to, in August, that's something I've really mandated for myself is having content created in days, right? Because
Mhm.
otherwise you just, as you know, you keep going, right? So, but how have you been able to grow this? And what are some ideas or tips you can give women wanting to grow their content?
So I think the biggest thing that has helped me grow is just really being ridiculously committed to being authentic to who I am.
Yeah.
It's so easy to go on social media and see everyone else and what you would like your life to look like, or what you would like to look like physically, or what you would like to, what kind of house you'd like to have, or whatever. And then just having to like shut that out and be like, who am I and what do I want to get across? And I I love I love laughing. I really enjoy making people laugh. And I feel like half the time I have no idea what I'm doing and I'm a bit of a flying disaster. So rather than trying to hide that, I'm just like, I'm just going to embrace that. And once I really started leaning into that, I really saw like my engagement and my following start to grow. And I think it was because people were like, "Oh, this is real," and it's not for everyone. Like if you're not in my phase of life, probably half the stuff will just not resonate with you. But I feel like it's really attracted the people that are in the similar phase of life as myself. Like I checked,
Because I've been through it, so I can resonate with it because I've been through it. I've had little kids, so I
yeah,
get
yeah,
it.
yeah,
It totally. So even though I'm not in your, I totally when I watch your stuff, I'm like, oh my God, I've so been
yeah,
there, right? In those,
right.
Yeah.
It's hilarious to me that I like make a lot of like mom content because I really struggled with the idea of becoming a mom, and anything that was like mom blogish or mom this or that, I was like, bleh. I was like, this isn't funny, like no blah, blah, blah. And like now I'm like, I am what I used to despise. And now I'm like, you give me like a funny mom meme, and I'm just like, this is hilarious. Um, so yeah, I think really just like leaning into the authenticity and being a little bit more vulnerable than I think, like being a little bit more vulnerable than sometimes I feel comfortable to be. Um, and knowing that when you put yourself out there, you will get pushback, you will get people say awful things to you, but you will also get a tidal wave of people that say, oh my gosh, I don't feel alone. Oh my gosh, I feel that exact same thing. And that tidal wave of positivity and like connection, it does drown out the handful of people that rip you to shreds.
Yeah.
Um, so and a huge part of like making content now, it really helps that, Rob, my husband, he loves YouTube. He has taught himself so much. Like I swear he's gotten like a full education on YouTube. He loves content creation. He's a corporate photographer, so he doesn't get to do that much stuff. So, but he's always like thinking of different ideas. So we're always kind of bouncing ideas off of each other. And it's a good thing, but it can be a bad thing. But now I'm always kind of like scanning of like, what could be a piece of content in this? Or what are we just doing as a family today that like I could like turn into something? Sometimes I want to turn that off and be like, no, I just need to be in the moment. I do not need to be thinking about what I'm creating today. Um, but you'd be surprised like just how much regular life stuff you can kind of like turn into a relatable piece of content.
Yeah.
And then as far as the Lavoh social media, what I've really just tapped into is using my community as creating the content, because it's kind of weird walking that line of having like your personal account, but then having a business, and you are a face of the business, but you don't want to just post the same stuff on both. So for me, what I did was just I sent out my cloths to as many like friends, family as I could. I also reached out to people in the drag community. I also reached out to makeup artists across the country and said, hey, I will send you this. Would you just film a video of yourself taking your makeup off and give me your honest feedback? So that's been really cool because in the beginning, having very limited funds, like I'm bootstrapping everything, just for the cost of my product and shipping, I've been able to get really amazing content back, get my product in the hands of people, and then get great reviews out of that. So that's what I've done on the Lavoh account to really try and like, beef up the content so it's not just me on there every day being like, buy my face cloth.
Well, and now you're probably even more happy that you went with the flat packaging, because then you can just,
Exactly.
it will ship
Exactly.
in Canada, like you can slide it through that little slot when they're mailing stuff, right?
Exactly.
Otherwise, you're like, damn it, I have to
Yeah.
buy boxes. It's a whole
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
I have
100.
boxes, so I have to buy boxes all the time. So I
Oh, gosh.
definitely gets the cost up there 100%. All
Yeah.
right, so let's ask some personal ones. What is one thing you would tell your 20-year-old self?
Ooh. One thing I would tell my 20-year-old self is stop obsessively worrying about the future.
Mm,
It's going to like don't worry if you're going to find your person. Don't worry if you're going to figure out what to do. I think I spent so much time just being so obsessed about the future and like what it was going to look like, who I was going to be with, what I was going to do as my career, everything, that I think I missed a lot of opportunities just to live in the moment. And it's something I have to remind myself of now, but I think if I could just go back, I'm like, I could have just had a lot more mental space if I would have just stopped freaking out about everything. I think I feel like it has maybe changed for the next generations coming up, but I grew up with this idea of there's a very linear path. My parents were both university graduates. They got jobs, they stayed in their careers for 30 years, and that was like supposed to be the path for me. And so me having this like entrepreneurial, like just fire in me, um, trying to like figure out this linear path when literally I just needed to like do the craziest squiggle to figure it out. Like those two things were kind of constantly at odds with one another. And so I think I would have just said, like, just chill. It's gonna be a giant fucking squiggle, but you're gonna get there and you're gonna learn so much along the way. And you're gonna learn way more than had you have just done this like linear path.
100%. I love that. What's your go-to treat? Do you have a favorite treat you like? Are you salty, sweet? What do you like?
Chocolate.
Chocolate?
Through and through.
A brand? Is there a brand you love, or is it just any chocolate?
We really love the Lindt dark chocolate.
I like the 70s, not the too dark. Do you like I like all the different, the mint, all the different flavors.
Yeah. We usually go with the dark chocolate with like candied orange.
That one's so good. Yeah.
It's so good. We kind of always just have one hiding in the cupboard. That's kind of our go-to.
Good one. Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. And what is your favorite swear word? And you can say it.
I love this question. When you send me the questions, I was like, yes. Hilarious. Motherfucker. I think it's hilarious. I grew up very, very conservative Christian. So I didn't. Okay. So I literally did not swear till my like maybe mid-20s.
Yeah.
So I feel like I kind of had this like lifetime of swear words just
waiting to come out. I just swear constantly.
And I do. I feel like I swear a lot now. And I just think motherfucker is hilarious. Like there's so many like hard consonants in it. It's just I always think of like Ice Cube, the way he says motherfucker. Like I just think it's the funniest. And when you like just like drop it into places where you would not expect, that's my favorite for sure.
I have to say, I think I grew up very conservative Christian. I was homeschooled. Like I was pulled out of school. Yeah, we Alpha and Omega homeschooling. Like it was tongues, the whole like speaking in tongues. Yeah. Went to Bible camps when I was 16. And so, of course I went like way on the other end, right? I was like, no. So yeah, my mom's always like, Karen, you're swearing a lot. I'm like, sorry. I won't let Michaela swear. It's funny because she's like, Jesus. And I'm like, hey.
Yeah.
Don't swear around me. When you're 18, maybe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's kind of funny because now my mom does it to me, but I look at my age and my mom and I'm like, I'm so much older, I'm allowed, but I think it's this thing. Maybe I'll always do that with Michaela. She'll like 105. I'll be like, hey, dial back the swear words.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, you just
I definitely still dial it down around my mom because she'll be like she'll like physically recoil when I swear. Like the funniest was when Remy was about 2 and she looked at me one day and just said, motherfucker. And I just almost died laughing. And I was like, this might be a problem, but this is also the funniest shit I've ever seen.
The cutest thing ever. You're like, say it one more time and then you're not allowed to say it again.
You're not allowed to say it to your 18.
Never again. Awesome. All right. So we're going to wrap it up, but I want to ask, where can people find you? Where can people buy one of these amazing face cleaners? Tell me everything. Where can everybody go?
So I sell on my website, which is www.lavoh.com. I ship all across North America and all across Canada and the States. Also, I launched a couple weeks ago on Amazon, on the Canadian Amazon and American Amazon. It has taken a little bit of time for it to show up. So if you type in Lavoh, you should be able to find stuff, but it's going to take, I think, probably a couple more weeks for the entire storefront to show up. But if you search the word Lavoh, you can find me. And then in the Lower Mainland area, I've been doing lots of markets and trade shows. So Shipyards Night Market in North Vancouver. I'm going to be doing Main Street Car Free Day. I'm going to be doing the Vancouver Home and Garden Show, or the Vancouver Fall Home Show, I should say. And then I am at a couple small boutiques. So I'm at Poplin & Co. In Main Street. They're a brand new, they opened a brand new store there, and at a salon down in Chinatown called Nula.
Awesome.
But yeah. And then
And
in a couple of years, I'll be in Sephora.
there you will, 100%. I would definitely say yes, you will be. And then also social media, so people can find you at.
Yes. So social media, across all platforms, it's Lavoh, again, Lavoh. And then my personal, if you feel like you want some ridiculous mom content, it's just at Eliza Trendiak.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Eliza, for being on today. I love your business. I love what you're doing. I'm looking forward to seeing them in stores all across Canada because I think it's going to happen very shortly. So that's awesome.
Thank you. That means the world to me. Thank you.
And for everybody else, tune in next month. We'll have another Friends You Keep. And thanks for coming and listening to the show. Take care. Thanks.